All right, everybody. It is the third month of the DC All-In Initiative, and I feel like it's time to talk about it. So let's go ahead and get straight into the solicitations. The first book that we're going to be talking about the books I should say, are the brand new series, and that is going to kick off with The New Gods by Ram V and Evan Cagle, the hit creative team most recently on Dawn Runner from Dark Horse, and also Detective Comics is now going to take control of the players of Apocalypse. We have no idea what is going on. We know that Metron is somehow back. We know that these characters are somehow back. An old god has died, but in steps Scott, Barda, Darkseid. This is all going to come in together wonderfully for every single one of those characters. I personally cannot wait. This is, in my opinion, a perfect pairing. This is something that I have been wishing for years, it seems like, so I cannot wait for The New Gods #1. Next up, we got Challengers of the Unknown by Christopher Cantwell and Sean Isaacs. Sean Isaacs, most well known for, recently anyways, his Green Arrow run and Thunderbolts. This is going to take control of Ace Morgan, Rocky Davis, Red Ryan, Prof. Haley, and June Robbins for this 5-issue series. So I personally can't wait for this. This is going to be awesome, and Christopher Cantwell is usually a really, really good writer at getting the voices and characters that he writes down. Next up, we have a very, very big surprise. Metamorpho by Al Ewing and superstar artist Steve Lieber. These two have been at the heart of some of my favorite comics that have come out in the last decade and even last decades. Al Ewing, obviously a much more recent popular writer, obviously Immortal Hulk, Guardians of the Galaxy, most recently Immortal Thor, X-Men Red, and now he's getting to write Metamorpho. Did not expect this at all, but you want to talk about a left field pick? Well, this is the new Al Ewing book for you, and Steve Lieber, obviously, he doesn't need an introduction. I can't wait to see what these two have going on here. I have been expecting a Metamorpho book to come out, even if it was a short series or a one-shot, but not by these two. So getting to see these two team up on this title is pretty cool. Next up, we got Batman Dark Patterns by Dan Watters and Hayden Sherman. Hayden Sherman, obviously, with their work on Wonder Woman for the Absolute line, and Dan Watters taking over for Nightwing. What I actually would suggest, there is going to be an interview up with me and Dan Watters talking about his future work at DC and Titan and other spots, and we're going to be talking about this book, so be sure to check it out as I get to talk to him about that specifically. Next up, we got a Two-Face miniseries by Christian Ward and Fabio Veras, the first time Harvey has ever had his own comic book series. Of course, the internal conflict and external conflict of the dual persona is going to be full on display in this miniseries. Let's go ahead and talk about the Absolute Universe next, and the first one is another issue of Absolute Batman. This is issue 3 by the same creative team of Scott Snyder, Nick Dragotta. Batman and Alfred have formed a tentative alliance, but the Black Mask is here to wreck Gotham. So, what'll happen between these two? Absolute Superman #2 is up next. The same team of Aaron and Sandoval still on this title. And this time we have the Peacemakers heading in towards them. So wonder what that's all about. And last but not least, my favorite and most anticipated of the line. I guess I can't say favorite, but still is in my heart so far. On Christmas Day, we are getting an issue from Kelly Thompson with spectacular art from the wonderful Hayden Sherman, who I mentioned earlier. I cannot wait for their designs to be on full display. It's going to be awesome. We got a Harbinger and the Tetracide, whatever that might be. Let's go ahead and see what this enemy revealed is. Let's go ahead and now talk about the Batman books, the first of which is Batman 157 by Chip Zdarsky with Jorge Jimenez and Tonius Daniel. And it is clear now that we are going to see the Court of Owls into play somehow. I don't know what that is all about, but the Riddler, Jim Gordon, and the rest of Gotham are in fate for what is in spite of maybe Batman failing again. This actually does look pretty cool. Next up, we got Detective Comics 1092 by Tom Taylor and Mikkel Yannon. We now have the name of the villain, which is Asema, who has taken quite an interest in Bruce Wayne. Feels a lot of Heartless vibes from Nightwing, honestly. But very cool cover by Mikkel Yannon, and getting to see him team up with his son is a pretty cool treat. Still, I am interested to see what Taylor has cooked up for this issue of Detective Comics. Up against the wall is Nightwing on issue 121. Once again, go and check out the interview I did with Dan Waters. Whenever that is posted, I will let you know, and we can talk about it then. Up next is Batman and Robin number 16, with Miguel Mendoza on the guest pencils for this arc, which is partly disappointing because I was getting ready for Javier Fernandez to draw every single issue of this book. But if you guys haven't checked it out, I did reveal some pages for Philip Kennedy Johnson's first issue of this run. They look spectacular, and it seems like Memento is going to wreck the duo emotionally, and especially Mr. Damien. This is going to be awesome. If you guys haven't yet, please go check out the interview. I talked about a lot more of the first arc and what PKJ has up for in store there. Next, we got Batgirl by Tate Bromble and Takeshi Miyazawa with an amazing cover by Jorge Jimenez. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. Lady Shiva is going to also probably be in the issue and teaming up with Cassandra Cain. What is not there to love about family? There is a lot of that in this issue. Next up, we got Harley Quinn, issue number 46, still by Elliot Kalan and Mindy Lee. And you guys can go ahead and check it out over there as well. Next up is Poison Ivy, issue number 28. Still Marcio Takara and G. Willow Wilson teaming up for this specific... Man, we got a reared primordial force that has been awakened by none other than Poison Ivy, as indicated by the cover. And her fight against the Order of the Night is going to lead her to actions that she probably didn't even dream of doing. Tarun Grombeck's Catwoman is right up next with her international hunt, sending her over to Stockholm in the Great Britain for an old acquaintance who has become a crime lord. Of course, a more grounded version of Selena. Let's go ahead and see what happens in this issue. Birds of Prey, one of my favorite DC ongoings, continues, and it does look as the Cassandra Cain focus is going to be prevalent in this issue, along with Big Barda having some conflict with her as well in this title. 5 Amazons are on the line in this one, and we are apparently going to be caught in a twist that no one has anticipated. And last but not least for the two, Chris Samney and Mark Waid, of course, on year 1 for Batman and Robin. I can't wait for this series, and for all the people who are looking to continue to collect their Jeff Loeb Batman series issue 4 The Last Halloween with Cliff Chang on art is going to be on sale on Christmas. So poetic justice right there. And for the Batman Brave and the Bold, Ty Templeton is back on Batman. Simone DeMeo is also back on Batman. Dave Wielgas, former Bat editor, and Nicola Cismechia, along with Michael Conrad and Christopher Mitten, are going to continue their respective stories on Zatanna and Batmite, Wonder Woman and Plastic Man, Animal Man, as well as a tattoo from Batman. Now let's go ahead and talk about the players in the Superman office, starting off with none other than Justice League Unlimited. It seems like we're going to get a build-up to whatever the big story is, coming out from All In with the Darkseid heir specifically in this. I have no idea what that's going to be about. Perhaps it could tie in with New Gods. Nonetheless, I'm just here to enjoy the ride for Wade's Justice League. Up next is Joshua Williamson Superman. It kind of feels weird to see Joshua Williamson only being on one book this month, but that is a cool cover by Dan Mora with Doomsday underneath. So wonder what that's all about. Of course, you've got to have Doomsday in some of these issues. It feels a lot like Jurgens' Rebirth, but I'm very, very excited to see what he's got going on with Clark and Superwoman. Wonder Woman is going to be taken over by a guest artist. And that is none other than Bruto Redondo. I am going to assume that Daniel Sampere probably needs a break from drawing all of those DC All-In covers, which is why we're getting a guest issue with Bruno Redondo on art on Tom King's Wonder Woman Ongoing. So as the war against Sovereign rages, Wonder Woman relies on her allies to figure out what this unshakable villain's weaknesses are, and also a Detective Chimp story. Who doesn't like some Detective Chimp? Next is the continuing and finally ending Mark Waid and Mariko Tamaki series on Action Comics, with the last 4 issues in tow from issues 1078 to 1081. After this, we are going to get a brand new creative team on Action Comics. Man, Mark Waid just felt super perfect for this, and yes, all of my friends were right in that he was going to take over the title. My hope from this is that we get a Supergirl All-In series in January, spinning out from the backups of Action Comics, and then of course Mark Waid's action wherever that takes us. I'm very happy that he has had some time to write one of his favorite characters, if not his favorite character. He's probably gone on record saying Supes is his favorite character, but nonetheless, I hope we get all of this collected nicely. Maybe we even get a deluxe hardcover of Superman Superstars for the entire year. Still, nonetheless, I'm very happy for these two writers and the creative teams that were on it to be able to do a weekly Superman book, which, hey, we need to get those Action Comics numbers pumped up. Superwoman Special by Joshua Williamson, and this time Edwin Gallman. Edwin Gallman was the guy who drew the Justice League Wraparound 1 in 50 cover that came out last month, so I do like his artwork. This is going to be tied in specifically with the Superman series, and also, yes, it is a spoiler. As if it hasn't said, this issue is a spoiler, the solicit is a spoiler, so tread carefully. Next up is Batman Superman World's Finest issue 34 with Fran Galan on art. I'm not really familiar with their work, but Fran Galan, for the art specifically for this, has done a lot of variant covers. Most recently, he did a book with Kyle Starks called Pine and Merrimack for Boom, which I believe is still coming out. So it's actually cool to see DC get new talent in for this title if Dan Mora can't draw it regularly, or anymore, I should say. But this is a Super Pets book, and we will be getting some fun Silver Age vibes again with this. And yes, Batgirl and Jimmy Olsen are teaming up. Who would have known? Next up is Titans, and we are going to continue to see the ongoing roller coaster of emotions that this team is on. Raven is acting all out of sorts, and Arsenal on the team is actually going to be a very, very key issue for the specific dynamics of this book. John Layman is coming back to the channel sometime after the first arc or trade paperback is done, so stay tuned for that. Next up, we got JSA by Jeff Lemire and Diego Olortegui. This is from the preview pages that I've seen. This is going to be shaping up, hopefully, to be a really, really great book. We have no idea where Alan Scott is. This does seem to focus on the Scott family, of course, of Jade and Obsidian. This is going to cause a rift with the team. And yes, again, who doesn't love the Injustice Society of America? They're so much fun. I have a lot of fun reading them, and specifically, as well as Ted Knight being included in the drama of all of this, so we get to continue with that. Up next is Black Canary, the best of the best by Tom King and Ryan Sook. Ryan Sook continues to lay down the slams with this specific title, and how can she prepare for a match against Lady Shiva? Seems like Shiva's in 2 books specifically for this month of DC Comics, so very excited to see that. For Black Lightning number 2, seems like Anissa Pierce has lost control of her power, so her dad has to stop it. The same team, still in issue 2 out of 5. I unfortunately did not get the note that it was going to be a 5-issue series until they announced it. So Black Lightning, very, very fun. It'll be cool to see this as well. Next up, we got Flash by Cy Spurrier and Vasco Georgiev, and they are going to continue the Flash family and the weird seismic dynamic shakes as an earthquake is going to wreck this entire Flash book. Green Lantern is heading towards another spot where new readers can jump in. Obviously, new readers were supposed to jump in with All In, but the next arc of Green Lantern after this is going to feature a way for new readers to get involved. There's going to be a brand new status quo. It'll be easy for you guys to jump on. And also, there's a lot of fun to be had in the future for this book. If you haven't yet, please go check out my interview with Jeremy Adams, where we got to talk about what his plans for DC All In are and everything else. And obviously, we got Chris Condon and Montos. This is issue 19 of Green Arrow, as we are headed towards another status quo shift for Green Arrow. And he has to figure out what is going up with the freshwater environmental disaster. That is stuff that I'm very much interested in, especially to see Oliver Queen, a billionaire socialite, get handed with issues like this. So kudos to Chris Condon for getting all of that in. And speaking of Green Arrow, who doesn't love a team up? The World's Finest Special. I asked Jeremy Adams in the interview if there was any possibility of him teaming up with characters, and Green Arrow was going to be one of them. Seems like they are going to have a lot of fun. Not only with this book, we are going to introduce them to the lens of World's Finest and have a fun time with these two characters. Lucas Meyer and Travis Mercer are on the art for this book. Lucas Meyer obviously on Titans, Travis Mercer most recently on a lot of variant covers for Justice Society of America, from my knowledge. Leah Williams and Adriana Mello still on Power Girl. Issue number 16 coming out on Christmas, and we have a brand new hero in Metropolis, which Power Girl has to deal with. So this is going to be some interesting conversations between her and the brand new person in Metropolis. Up next is Shazam by Josie Campbell and Dan McDade, who does look like he's staying on this title long term, which is a disappointment for me. I love Lamelo Lupacchino, but Dan McDade is not a bad substitute either. And they are dealing with social media, the Society app. Hopefully they can control it, and obviously Mr. Mind has to get some shenanigans in there as well. We are very excited to see what's going on with that. And last but not least, we have The Question All Along the Watchtower number 2. This is the Renee Montoya book, issue 2 out of 6 for this series. And the Grizzly murder is going to be investigated. Let's see what's going to go on in that Question book. I love Renee Montoya, and I hope you guys also pick up this title as well. I will say Batman Gargoyle of Gotham is back with an issue number 3, which is good to see because I really want this book to be out in deluxe edition. I think it deserves it. Hopefully we get a sense of that, and hopefully we get the book finished as soon as possible, but also no rush to Mr. Grandpa, who I love his art. I can't wait to see more of it. You can find the documentation for these solicitations on comicreleases.com, where every single issue, cover, book, hardcover, trade paperback is all on, so be sure to check us out over there. But that's going to be it for this video. Let me know if you guys are going to pick up any of these DC All-In books, which ones are the most appealing to you in these rounds of solicits. Are there any of the new number 1s going to pick you up with New Gods, Challengers of the Unknown, and some others thrown in there as well? I didn't anticipate any of these coming out. Let me know all that in the comment section down below, and let me know what you're excited for. I'm Dom of X. You be you. Take care, and dominate the day wherever you are.